Here's a little-known version of a well-known song by Tom Petty. He's playing live in Hollywood in 1977.
It's alright if you love me. It's alright if you don't.
It's a posthumous release of a singer who died of a drug overdose 1 year ago next week.
It's alright. It's alright.
As the anniversary of Tom Petty's death arrives, people close to him are releasing more of his music.
I remember you so clearly, the first one through the door.
Bandmates and family members spent months hitting play on stacks of old recordings. They chose 60 tunes to release. His widow Dana Petty listened in their home studio in California.
It was a very healing experience.
What do you mean by healing?
Well, at first it was really hard to even listen to him on the radio, especially when he spoke. In these recordings, there's a lot of joking around with the band and him talking, and that was hard.
This is a new song called Listen to Her Heart.
As we listened, it got easier, and there was a lot of laughter and a lot of tears. It was very healing, I think, for all of us.
You think you're gonna take her away with your money and your cocaine.
The recordings preserve the voice of a man who lived in front of a microphone. Dana Petty spoke of the recordings with Benmont Tench, Tom Petty's keyboardist, who heard his younger self on some of them.
Old tapes from my parents' living room of our first band recording a demo.
Was that like one of those old audio cassette recorders?
No, we actually, to make a demo, to try to get a record deal in 1973, we had a local guy who had a van with a reel-to-reel tape machine come to the house, and he put some mics up, and we played live in my parents' living room 7 or 8 songs. And my parents, God bless them, they let us practice at the house. All we had to do was stop playing when the CBS Evening News came on so my dad could listen to the news. And we were loud, and my parents were totally fine with it.
This is a song from 1976. The artist was on the radio from the 1970s until roughly now, with lyrics that had a distinctive edge. She might need a lot of loving, but she don't need you. You got lucky, babe, when I found you. Benmont Tench recalls Petty sometimes waited like a fisherman for the words to come, and other times they just flowed out.
She's a good girl, loves her mama, loves Jesus, in America too.
I wasn't there when he wrote Free Fallin', but he was totally capable of picking up a guitar or sitting down at a piano, opening his mouth, and not thinking, and something as complete and beautiful as Free Fallin' coming out in the course of the time it takes to sing the song.
He was not in very good shape the last few years, was he?
He had knee problems and then his hip, and he just found out he had emphysema. But, he was emotionally in a really good place.
The news accounts of his death linked it to pain medication, which I think I understand, hearing you saying that he had a variety of issues that people have as they get older. This is, in a way, a tragically common story in the country.
Yeah. He wasn't doing pain meds when he was performing, but when he got home, it was obviously getting worse.
We knew that he had a fracture in his hip, but he wanted to play.
Yes.
And if the dressing room was far on the last tour, he would take a golf cart from the dressing room to the steps up to the stage. But the second he hit the stage, he was on and he was gone. He was, you'd never have known anything.
This is the only time he was out of pain, I think, is when he was on stage.
It was at the start of October in 2017 when he asked Dana Petty if they could listen to one of his songs together.
You and Me. He wanted to hear that on October 1st. It was the last song he heard.
Take a look at what I got. I can't promise you a lot,
it's hard to hear that song. I mean, he wrote that song during our engagement. It was very special to both of us.
I'm thinking about that moment with that song, You and Me. He just happened to be thinking of you.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really thought about it that way. You're gonna make me cry, but yeah, I think he knew that he didn't have long, and that last day is it's just surreal that he had me look up Cindy Crawford, his junior high girlfriend, who is partially responsible for getting him into music.
Different Cindy Crawford.
Different
right?
Cindy Crawford.
Oh,
She lived in
okay.
Gainesville.
Just checking.
She lived
there.
in
Go on.
Gainesville. Really beautiful girl that was putting on a dance for his junior high, and she asked him if he knew a band, and he said, "Oh yeah, I have a band," which he didn't. So we went out. He got a band together and played the dance.
On Facebook, they looked up the woman who had started his career, and the next day, Tom Petty was dead. What remained was recording after recording of a man who never stopped thinking about his music.
1, 2, 3.
And Tom Petty's newly published recordings offer, as pop songs often do, advice for life.
And there's something about what he says in Keep a Little Soul. Like, don't be afraid to, what is it? Don't be afraid to be what
To
you
live
believe.
what you believe.
Don't be afraid to live what you believe.
Don't be afraid to live what you believe. Doesn't matter. No. When you keep a little soul.
That's the one I listen to the most, and it's not too dark. There's hope there.
All people got soul, honey. All people got dreams.
Benmont Tench and Dana Petty. Thanks to you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.